What is going on, everybody? We've got JT here, we've got C Will over at the Passive Income Network, and we've
What's
got
good?
David with Crypto for Change. Welcome to the fourth episode of the next block. It is currently block 21,100,894. What's going on, fellas?
Hey, life's good as always. I'm happy. We got the next block is popping. Let's do it.
Let's do it. And if you're just joining us now, tap in with the live chat. Let us know what you want us to discuss. We've got a lot on the docket today, including the updated governance proposals, the LimeWire UMG partnership with Algorand, general market sentiment, Stacy at the SALT conference, and a bunch more. So stay to the end. And yeah, let's start off with market sentiment. How you guys feeling out there?
I'm watching right now, and what I see is, I think AlgoFam hit the nail on the head when I put out the post on what's going to happen for the rest of this week. I think we're going to trade sideways for a little bit,
Yep.
but I am thinking or feeling that come the either end of this week or beginning of next, something's going to happen, something big. I don't know what it is, but I think we could see a move down for if Bitcoin goes down. Obviously, Algorand's coming down, or maybe we get that relief bounce and we can pop back up to some levels, that we were previously at, right in the 50 cents to 60 cents. Algorand's, it's had a tough time. It's hit it twice, hitting that 50-cent range. So
Yep.
I'd love to see it get over that, but I think we may still see some choppy waters ahead.
So looking at Bitcoin right now at the time of this video about 30K. So I'm seeing the 30K level as a nice resistance. It keeps fluctuating between 28 and 30K. We want Bitcoin to get back to 31, 32, 33, which would be good for the overall market. So that's what I'm looking at. Again, following Bitcoin, what David said with Algorand is happening, looking like sideways action for a while. So we hoping Stacy and them get some good news out there to give us some upward price action, hopefully.
I was about to say that as well, that, right now we're holding, if we can hold this, 28, 30K range, it'd be good, since the last year's high or lows, in the summer of last year in June, July, we're right in that 28, 29,000 range. So if we can hold it, that's great. But I do think that even if we see a relief bounce, like say the foundation, puts out some good news when Bitcoin is kind of bullish and running back up to 34, 38. Like,
Yep.
I think Algorand could see that pop back up to like the 67 cents area to see what that 50 cents above area. But I would still be I would see that as maybe a bull trap before maybe stuff starts to flip and go back the other way. I don't know. I just don't think Bitcoin has got me maybe feeling the FUD, feeling the bearishness. Maybe that means the bottom's in. I don't know.
I think the bottom's in. What you thinking, JT?
There is so much bearishness that I am starting to think that we might be nearing a bottom. But looking at the chart, especially the Algorand chart in specific, we're stuck in this very clear downtrend. And in reality, from what I'm seeing, I think there's a huge possibility we come back down and test this previous low and support around 34 cents before coming back up to the top of this channel, which would be around like 60 cents ish, give or take. And then deciding on whether we're going to continue the downtrend and go back down, or finally break out of the channel. But I do honestly suspect we're going to come back down to the 30s and then bounce back up. But that really could play out over the next 2 to 3 weeks. In reality, that's not going to happen today or tomorrow. But yeah, I think it's going to be a boring market really until we get the next CPI reading and the next rate hikes, and we go from there. Really.
Did anyone check out the Algorand metrics to see, do we still got like more wallets being active wallets metrics going up? What's our TVL look like? Anyone look into that recently?
Yeah, I check it like almost every day. The wallets, obviously, they were for like a week or two. They were actually spiking. I think we added like 1 million wallets in a pretty short amount of time. But it's kind of went back to the way it was before. So, and part of me wonders, is that like, that massive wallet, is that organic growth, or is that maybe some of these partnerships that Algorand has been forming, like going in and creating accounts for a future purpose or a future need? So that is interesting. The nodes is still down. It still is not showing the amount of nodes that Algorand has. But I think TVL has actually rebounded slightly. At least I noticed it on AlgoFi and things like that. So I think since the market has digested the very large, capitulation event we just had, over that last week, I think it's kind of digested. And that's why I think we may see some sideways action for a bit before ultimately something's going to give. Either we're going to break upward or we're going to break further down and see some new all-time lows for this run.
Yeah, over the last 6 months, the total accounts have risen from about 15 million to about 25 million, give or take. So that's a sizable increase. That's nearly what, like
Yes.
a 70% increase over 6 months. And the average balance continues to go down, which just shows more and more small guys holding algo as opposed to whales. I do think the overall TVL though is really just going to be suffering until until the market starts to turn around a little bit. Even if more and more algos enter all these DeFi protocols as the price goes down, it's like the TVL is still going down, even if they're getting more participation. So
Yeah.
it's a hard time to be judging TVL unless we get a huge influx for sure.
Yeah. With that in mind, let's go ahead and switch over to governance talk, since that's one of the things we'll be voting on.
Let's do it. You guys take it from here because I have yet to read the proposal, and I know you guys have. So I will take a look at this proposal right now while we you guys discuss it.
Sure. So the first one, I'll jump on one and then see what you can jump
Yep.
in right behind me. And including DeFi participants in governance. So that's the first big one, I think. And this kind of goes along to what the community was kind of saying that they wanted to be able to vote on. I think this is the one. It's cool that the foundation listens to the community, and we're starting to see a proposal from it. So it kind of does give an idea of even what the XGov situation could look like with the community having more input. But it goes on to just kind of say that DeFi participants, certain ones that meet certain criteria, will be able to, people who are acting on those platforms will earn rewards from governance distributed by the DeFi platform itself. And so the main thing, actually, what you just highlighted, that's one of the big benefits, I would say, for the algos that are on the DeFi platforms, is they will have double the voting power as regular algo holders. So right now, and this is kind of to go to what you were saying, JT, with TVL increasing, and I know that's a big point for the foundation, is how much do you think now that the rewards? It won't be. I'm guessing, in the way I read it, is governance rewards, maybe things like AlgoFi will continue doing what they're doing, but other ones, maybe you won't have to even really lock them up in a way. I don't really know if that'll be the entire case, but just participating on the platform and in DeFi will give you the ability to earn those, those governance rewards when the DeFi platforms dish them out, as long as they stay above a certain amount, is what it went on to say. But it'll be interesting to see if this will be enough to get some of those bigger players and bigger whales into DeFi.
Well, we got to be clear too, JT. That part you almost highlighted, but you get double the voting power, but
Mm-hmm.
not the rewards.
Yep.
So it's
Right.
not going to give people more money essentially for doing it, but just more pool. And yeah, just looking at this first option, how y'all feeling about option A or B?
Off first glance, I kind of like the idea of it because, I mean, it would be nice to have more rewards, but I feel like the double the voting power might be enticing enough, especially for retail that might want to. I still think there's going to be a lot of industry people, people that are holding a lot, millions on Coinbase that are still going to want to keep it on Coinbase just for safety. Uh, but I could see this, helping drown out the whale vote if a lot of retail jumps in DeFi and has double the voting power. So I think it's an overall good idea. I will probably vote A, depending. What do you guys think, though?
My question
Yeah.
or thought process is going to be, how is this going to change what we've already seen implemented by things like Folks Finance, AlgoFi? Is AlgoFi still going to have their vault and still going to have you lock up those on their platform to be participating in it, or is it going to be more of a, are they going to do some kind of data tracking where they're taking the average balance of your algos that you were participating in DeFi during the 3 months and then giving you rewards based off of that? So I'm just kind of interested, like how new DeFi platforms will incorporate knowing that they can give out governance rewards, as well as how are the ones that already had systems in place with this past one, how are they going to change or evolve?
Yeah, it definitely seems like it's going to be up to each platform to make their own decision. And I love AlgoFi's vaulting structure, so I feel that is going to definitely be looked at since AlgoFi has the most total value locked. I feel like as the leader, other platforms like Folks Finance, for example, they could, implement what AlgoFi is doing. But yeah, I'm curious about that as well.
Yeah, it does seem like it'll probably still be fine for things like AlgoFi and Folks Finance and Guard because, it says for qualifying DeFi projects and it says like for DeFi project qualification, DeFi projects will qualify for participation in Algorand governance by registering with the Algorand Foundation, providing some administrative Algorand accounts for the purpose of voting on behalf of their participants, and so forth. And I think that right there, that last line right there, really covers AlgoFi and Folks Finance and whatnot because they do create these accounts that allow you to vote or vote on your behalf, like Folks Finance does. So it does seem like you still need to be participating in governance. So um, I don't think too much will change aside from the incentive structure, really.
Yeah. So what it is, we're seeing that we're just basically having people are going to have more options to participate, spreading out. Definitely smart idea, I believe, to include people who are participating in DeFi.
Yeah, and just more inclusiveness to those governance rewards, making it to where you don't have to just use specific ones or trying to. And I feel like it's good because you don't want to get a centralized risk where, like we saw with Tiny Man when that exploit happened, that if Tiny Man got exploited, everything went down. We don't want to see. I mean, yes, we want to see AlgoFi continue to grow, but we don't want it to become where AlgoFi has so much dominance that if it were to have an issue, we see another Tiny Man type thing where if it got exploited, then TVL just starts to drain out and Algorand's back where it was at square one. So I think this is going to be good for bringing a lot of other projects maybe that are just now starting. They can start to plan on how they're going to incorporate this Algorand governance DeFi to help increase TVL, things like Pact and Yieldly and all the other ones that are still, maybe even Humble DeFi. I mean, there's so many things out there that still have yet to launch, and so many things I'm probably not even mentioning that can help increase TVL and get us there. Because that's still what I'm wondering is what's going to get the whales in DeFi, because the risk is still there, right? There's still the risk of smart contracts and whales. They like their money in their wallets probably where it's lots more safer and secure. And so what's going to be the tipping point to get them in? And do you guys think this vote is going to make a difference for whales or no? Is this just a thing for retail?
My initial thought is retail. I feel like this whole governance structure is mostly about retail, because they would, like you said, like the people that got their algos on Coinbase, the big institutions, they like Coinbase because it's custodial for them when you have that much money. And then us with smaller bags, we're more flexible to move in and out of these platforms. So I think it will help out retail. And I also want to get to some of these comments because there's some great comments in here. But I'll let y'all, JT, want to bust out a comment first before we tap in on there.
Yeah, are there any in particular that we should
Yeah,
talk? There's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot, but looking at
go
it,
with
saying
centralized.
the centralized part, they're saying that governance, like what it would say, the Reddit community is in shambles about this proposal. They're thinking it's too centralized. What do y'all feel about the centralization of this governance structure?
Are we thinking about the
The
XGov
first
tier
part,
or the
not
DeFi?
the first. I guess
Yeah,
the
I don't really understand that argument too much, to be honest. I feel like somebody would have to explain their point of view on that a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, because the XGov tier is meant to make it to where, obviously, I guess maybe that's maybe what they could be hinting at, that, okay, what if you have this, select group of XGovs who can then propose things, but it still has to ultimately go all the way through, even at the last step, the Algorand Foundation. And it doesn't, and even in that, the article that goes over that one, it even says that once that XGov thing, if it were to fully get passed and run through, the Algorand Foundation would still be kind of right there along, having proposals to go as well. Maybe they're thinking the foundation, creating these proposals is the centralized aspect to it right now.
The way I see it is, yeah, governance to a degree and the foundation is centralized, but it was a central private authority essentially before it decided to start decentralizing some of its decision making. And the foundation isn't isn't the same as the blockchain. So the blockchain itself isn't centralized. The foundation essentially was a private company that decided to allow the community to vote on how it spends some of its money. Essentially, that's really what it comes down to. We're not voting on a lot of what happens at the foundation. We're just having certain votes on how the algos that they hold are distributed, which, that could be done better over time. And I think they're doing a better job listening to us, but it was never meant to be like a fully decentralized right off rip, fully decentralized foundation. The intent was to really decentralize the decision making around the algos they held.
Yeah.
One of the guys was saying, making another comment, saying Reddit thinks of relay nodes, just like that the foundation has to agree, I guess, or help bring those relay nodes on.
Yeah, there is some issue around relay nodes. They have been working more and more with community members on relay nodes, but yeah, they definitely are aware of this and are working to fix that. But
There's
I
another.
go for it. What are you gonna say?
No, I'm saying there's another comment that was like, what does Amazon Web Services have to do with Algorand? I did research this before. I remember a few months back, the Algorand wallet, the Parrot wallet, before it turned, was having trouble. And then we found out that the Amazon Web Services servers host the Parrot wallet's information, but not the blockchain, but they do host all the stuff that's in the Parrot wallet. So if Amazon services went down, we would have trouble using our Parrot wallet. That's what happened before.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a slight issue, but um, in reality, you could have always just started using a different wallet like MyAlgo or something like that with
Yeah.
your same information. So it
Yep.
wouldn't have been the end of the world there. But yeah, there is an issue in general around the internet that AWS has a lot of control over things.
Yeah, and I
Yes.
also want to say this, like I know that there's so many about this centralization versus decentralization. Like I feel like people also have to realize that like up to this point, this is a transition from, power being centralized and central authorities having so much power to a decentralized future. Like
Yeah,
you can't just have a sunset date where all right, everything that was centralized is now decentralized. Like
it is certainly a process for
yeah,
sure.
Yep.
it's gonna take years, but I do think when you compare Algorand to a lot of the other layer one blockchains and things that are out there, it is very decentralized and moving even more decentralized as it grows.
Yeah, I agree. Let's move on to the second part of this proposal. It is the first steps for XGovs proposing and upvoting measures. I'll let you guys take it from here, and I'll read along as you go.
Well, in the short, this one, I think this vote came from like our last governance quarter vote. But anyways, it's about experienced governors, the expert governors that can help. Like basically, it'll be like creating a DAO, so that way these experienced governors, people who are committed to stake, who's been participating, can help facilitate or submit proposals that will go into the whole governance structure. Um,
Yeah, one of the big things I saw was they would be creating an app that the XGovs would be able to pretty much in a way, almost like Reddit, I feel like, but like some type of app where they'd be able to, bring the proposals up and then either by upvoting or by, some form of that would be able to bring the best measures to possibly push forward through to the regular governors to vote on. And then from there, it would be still, I think, checked by the Algorand Foundation, and then would be released to the regular governors, for their vote. It didn't go. I was hoping we would get more information on the length that the algos would need to be locked up, or if, and this is something I would be interested to hear what you guys think, if the XGovs is going to be such a separate tier that like you wouldn't be able to get I'm pretty sure you won't, but like you wouldn't be able to participate in DeFi and be an XGov, right? I feel like you'd have to be an expert gov. You would have to do governance through just your wallet, and that would be it. Just because then how, I guess unless all these platforms, DeFi platforms, would have to differentiate which users
yep.
are XGovs and locked longer term, which ones are shorter term. So that is going to be something interesting is are you going to end up seeing the whales, the ones who maybe don't participate in DeFi as these XGovs versus the retail degens out here in DeFi, just being the regular govs voting. And maybe that's some of the thought where some people were going with centralization of like the expert govs.
Well,
Well, it look.
it looks
Go
like
ahead.
it looks like the XGovs will be more of like a tier where you're like earning these XGov tokens. It seems.
And you
Yeah,
being
yeah.
a
It goes
DAO.
back to the way they did what they said on the last vote, which was, to make it to where they'd still be able to use them. You would lock your algo tokens into this XGov, smart contract, whatever it is, for the duration, which could be long, which would be longer than a normal, the 3 month soft staking, and you would get the XGov token that you would then be able to go and, I guess, move around on DeFi. But that was just from what it was said on the last vote that we had. I'm just thinking like, you know, does that mean that all of the DeFi platforms would have to adopt or would start to adopt this new XGov token, or would there just be a specific, certain platform for it?
Well, it looks
Yeah.
like the XGov token is would only be used to upvote proposals on that app that they're building. Is what I'm getting from this. So it seems like, community members will be able to propose votes, create proposals on the app, and then these XGov tokens will be used to upvote those proposals. And
Right.
the proposals that rise to the top are the ones that would get voted on in theory.
And the second
Overall,
part.
just go for it.
No, just like the second part too. Again, it's like with this decentralization nature, it allows for each platform to decide on how they want to use their votes. Also, like that for example line there.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing. It's like, it's how is the, who's going to be participating in being an ex gov? Would you want to lock up your algos and be an expert gov if you're someone who maybe is not going to be, someone who's not going to be wanting to bring measures forward, right? Are you going to want to? Is there going to be enough rewards? Or more of a reward in voting and using this XGov token to upvote and stuff in that system over what you can make and earn in the DeFi side of just being a regular governance member.
Yeah, you got to really want to do this for sure. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
This is
You got to
really
really
interesting,
want
though.
this.
Overall, I like the concept, and I like the fact that governance evolves over time. So this is really interesting. But I think it would be a good idea, probably, to try to set up a Twitter space with a couple more members of the community and have like a real discussion about this before the votes happen. I think that would be a good idea.
Yeah, it'd be cool. I
We
mean,
should,
I
we
know
should
that.
try to do it.
Yeah, I know the foundation's trying to be more, present and more and out there more with the community. So maybe Fred can set something up for everybody.
Yeah, we'll reach out. We'll figure it out. All right, so moving on, LimeWire recently partnered with UMG, Universal Music Group, which is the largest record label in the country or world, I believe, one of the two.
Yeah.
And of course, LimeWire is building on Algorand, so that is relatively huge news, in my opinion. What do you guys think of this development?
I mean, Kendrick Lamar.
That was the tweet. That's it.
Right. I was
But
interested. I went back and saw and read Napster's Twitter, and they also tweeted like maybe a week or two before Dolly Parton. That's the tweet. So I was like, okay, maybe this maybe it wasn't isolated like they were partnering with Kendrick, but maybe they're just like following trends. And because Dolly was doing something, it was like a commercial or something, crypto commercial, maybe, I don't know. But I feel like, I mean, the more that happens, and here's the thing I don't know is like, what partnerships are other blockchains forming right now? That's the big thing I wonder. Like Cardano and Near, and some of these other big layer ones, Avalanche, Solana. I know the one with Snoop Dogg, at least for Cardano, but that's I don't know if that's a music NFT or if that's an art NFT. But it just seems like so many music companies and platforms are going to be using Algorand.
yep.
And so that's what's just really cool. Just from Algorand might not be reshaping the future of finance alone; it might be reshaping the future of music.
Well, if you look at it's like kind of cool what Algorand is doing. So I forgot what blockchain. Other blockchains got like their soccer teams, but Algorand did the whole FIFA.
Hey,
They
we got a
got
soccer
ID.
team too.
Yeah, and the soccer team, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep, yeah. Gotham FC, shout out to them. But then you got other blockchains where Adi is, and Algorand's like, okay, we'll go with LimeWire. We got UMG. So I feel like it is one of those competitions on the low right now to see who can pull the best deals and partnerships. And what's key about this, again, we always talk about it, Other blockchains like Solana shuts down, is super centralized. Terra has been fully exposed, as we've seen, and Bitcoin
Yeah.
doesn't
Celsius
have
might be
smart
next.
contracts. Celsius may be next. Ethereum has a scalability problem, so it's starting to come down to, you got Cardano, you got Algorand, and near
Near,
possibly, that you
yeah,
could use to actually do real world use case that has proven himself. Cardano,
yeah.
we don't know yet, but they have not. Nothing crazy has happened from my understanding. So I see why, they're choosing Algorand in this regard. You need music to be able to be compatible with sites like DistroKid, Ditto Music, and all the streaming that sends the royalties out, and they can't be down again. They can't be down.
Not for nothing, but Algorand's partnering with the largest sports association in the world. They're partnering with the largest record label in the world. I mean, this line right here gets me relatively excited. Using LimeWire, artists signed to Universal Music Group can now offer audio recordings, audio-visual content, backstage footage, and any artwork and images as NFTs on the LimeWire marketplace and sell them
Wow.
directly to fans and collectors. Musicians can release bonus tracks and exclusive material, sell uncut or backstage content, and much more. So, in reality, this is huge. Like, some of the biggest artists in the world are signed
Yeah.
to UMG. So,
Taylor
Let's look up
Swift,
a
Justin
yep.
Bieber, Kendrick Lamar, Drake.
Dolly
Um,
Parton.
yeah, yeah, and even obviously even outside of just pop, you got Chris Stapleton. I'm a huge country artist fan. I love his music. He's a part of UMG. And that spot that you highlighted is cool because, like I said, this isn't.
Kanye,
Yeah.
BTS,
It's not
Billie
saying
Eilish.
that all these, when they release an album, it's going on Algorand or anything like that, but it opens the door, right? So
oh yeah.
before, there was nothing, no way that these artists were going to be able to facilitate and use Algorand. Once and still technically LimeWire is not launched yet, so we do have to remember
Otis
that.
Redding.
But once the LimeWire is launched, once things like Napster get going, Opulus is running full speed, and the song that owns itself, and Dequency, and all A Note Music, and all these things that are building on Algorand, like that is when so many artists are going to be able to leverage Algorand's tech and reach their fans in new ways, which is, like you said, backstage content, audio, audio, specialized audio recordings and stuff like that. I mean, literally, it opens up a huge marketplace.
Man, it basically is taking the brick, or it's taking the music, and it's be able to bust it down into so many different pieces, and then we all, as the retail, have the opportunity to be trading and flipping items in NFTs that have to deal with our favorite artists. And that has never happened. Like before, we had to collect, whatever. I'm like thinking a Grateful Dead a record, and you got to leave it in this plastic for 40 years to make sure that you can get a resale. Now
Right.
we can do this shit in real time, like
Yeah.
real time. And
Me
I
and
know if I get my hands on any Drake or Taylor Swift or Adele, Jay Z, I'm keeping it. I'm
right.
not reselling, because I know that stuff is gonna go up in value only. This is the
Yeah,
beginning.
me and Joker 4235, we're gonna be fighting over Tay Tay's NFTs.
Tay Tay. Yeah,
That's
it's
funny.
about to be crazy. It's a new asset class for us as young investors. That wasn't, it's hard to buy up. What's it called? There's a company that Shaq has signed basically his rights over to, and I can't think of at the moment, but it's a brand deal company. They own up everything, and now we can start our own, companies that buy up all these assets, and I think it's like definitely dope, or in our personal portfolios.
Yeah, it's a pretty exciting time, really,
So
for
exciting.
the creator economy in general. I've never seen traction like this in general on any of the other blockchains. Granted, I do have a little bit of tunnel vision, so maybe I'm missing something, but it does seem like something big is brewing. And just to be clear too, some of these projects are already up and running. Like Napster is a full-fledged business that
Yep.
rakes in millions of dollars a year. They are transitioning to use the blockchain, but it's not like they're starting their business off from scratch. A Note Music has been doing their thing for a couple years now in the European markets. I mean, we might not hear about it much here in the States, but European artists have been able to use that platform to sell their artwork for a couple of years now. So it's a pretty exciting time for Algorand in general, and
Yeah, it'll be
Hey, I
interesting to
got a
see.
theory.
Oh, go ahead.
I got a theory, because like I see Algorand as the Amazon of blockchain. right? It has the
Oh yeah.
ability to be integrated with everything. Like Amazon touches the post. Yep, there you go. Amazon deals with the post office. It deals with regular retail. It does business to business, and I see Algorand has that ability to, implement the same thing that Algorand or Amazon is doing, but in terms of the blockchain space.
It'll certainly have its tentacles in just about everything.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
that's like one of the things I'm wondering is like maybe now that you see some of these big partnerships happening, when will the bigger entities that are out there, something like an Apple Music or Spotify, when will they make maybe an announcement to leverage a blockchain to create and have their or maybe they'll, I don't know, maybe they'll
They might
somehow,
build their own, huh?
yeah, might build their own and stuff like that. Obviously, that's always an option. So it'll be interesting to see if some of those do partner or if they just go out and get the people to build their own.
I'll say one thing: the more great partnerships like these that the Foundation and Algorand Inc. continue to nail down, the larger the snowball effect is, because it creates more momentum for Algorand
Yep.
in general, but it also creates more credibility for the entire space, but also Algorand. So the more large institutions see, companies like FIFA and companies like Universal Music Group partnering with the Algorand blockchain, the more it'll be easier to convince other legacy institutions to start, choosing the right blockchain, in my opinion.
Yeah, and even then, you go back to what Stacey Warden just said with the SALT conference. She said that even in a multi-chain future, you might be eating your pizza over on Cardano World or Solana World, but it's going to be settling on Algorand, Planet Algo.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a great conversation and a great segue to the next part of this conversation. Anyway, so I just watched that discussion maybe about an hour or two ago, and I thought it was fantastic. And I actually did, that part you're just speaking of. I clipped out and I tweeted that out because I thought that was, the most fantastic aspect of it. She basically said, as you said, in a multi-chain world, Algorand is likely to be the settlement layer for essentially all transactions, which I completely agree. I can see, you're exploring these other blockchains, but the final settlement layer, or the main settlement layer, will be Algorand, and I can certainly see that.
What
Yeah, the
what's some
tech is
other
definitely
key
there.
points? So what's some other key points y'all got from this? I haven't got to watch the whole thing. I'm only like 3 minutes in. I'll watch it later.
You want to go first, JT, or you want me to grab it?
You can go first.
Okay. I would say, I mean, outside of just the normal, like, Algorand talk that we're used to hearing from Sean Ford and Stacy and all them about, how green Algorand is and the finality and the transaction speed and upgrades and everything that's coming. Obviously, I'm bullish, excited to see those upgrades. But something that I don't really know if you consider this alpha that she dropped, but she said when they were talking about the FIFA partnership, and I think maybe some of the other things with LimeWire or other partnerships that they were talking about, she mentioned that they're right now working. That she didn't give any really super descriptive terms, but she did say two big organizations that handle disaster relief settlements in Africa. I Googled to try to figure out what these could be. Obviously, Salvation Army is huge, but I don't think it's them. There were some other ones that were actually dedicated to disaster relief settlements in Africa, but I didn't find anything definitive that I would want to speculate on. So that was something huge, and I think she may have even said not just two large, but two of the biggest organizations in Africa that handle that. But also, she said they're working with a mobile inclusion, one of the largest mobile inclusion networks in Africa, in African business. So those are maybe some big announcements that are going to come out here soon. I don't really know, speculating what they could be, but it's cool to see, with Algorand being global. I know we get so US focused and just American focused here, but like Algorand is a global, a blockchain and a global thing. And so it's like, it'll be interesting to see how they start to leverage, a country like Africa, where, the amount of people that are unbanked and the people that she even mentioned in that conversation, where to get a bank account, you have to know somebody who at that bank who would refer you to be able to have an account. Like that's how strict it can be in certain areas. And that's just not the way financial inclusion should be. Everyone anywhere should be able to plug into the network and transact and grow a business. And that's what Algorand is going to try to do in some of those places. And that's what I'm super excited for.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah, that's
speculating.
huge.
He says called speculating. Go
Of
watch the
course.
video. If I'm speculating, then Stacey Warden's speculating.
Hey,
Well,
there's
hey,
you know
didn't Stacy?
there's always room for some dubious speculation. I wouldn't obviously nobody ape in on speculation, but for sure.
Yeah, Stacy, like, her background is in these global markets, so I wouldn't be surprised
Yep.
because she does have the connections in the background. And then we talk about Africa as a continent, you got a billion freaking people, and they're young, a lot of younger people as well. And then Southeast Asia or just Asia as a whole, which I'll have in the comment.
I didn't think I said speculating. All right, you got me.
Speculating.
I'll have to go back and watch it. Caught out. Zip.
Yeah, you speculizing. But yeah, for sure. Like I definitely agree. You got to do some speculation, but if you put the overall picture together, you can see where it's heading. To a borderless economy. How do you have a borderless economy? It can't just be Americans or
Yeah.
Western
Yep.
powers. I will say it has
Absolutely.
to
Brock just
be.
knew I slept through all of English class. That's all it was. I got A's, but I didn't pay attention to anything. I was just good at taking tests.
There you go. There you go. So let's transition on to a little bit of stablecoin discussion. I know there was a couple people in the audience that wanted us to discuss our thoughts on stable and probably guard as well, even though I don't use guard. I think more people use stable.
Yes.
However, I know there's a lot of concern, especially with the UST disaster, and that isn't the only stablecoin that has had a unfortunate, deadly fate. But if you look at this chart right here, you'll see that stable's held up really well. It's actually trading higher than USDC by almost a penny. It's almost a penny more valuable than USDC in this current market, and I think there's a misunderstanding or not a full understanding of how different stablecoins operate, because there is a huge difference between over collateralized stablecoins that have diverse collateralization, like this particular stablecoin, and UST that basically derived itself on almost exact collateralization ratios of the underlying Luna token, and as soon as Luna dropped, that it basically created the death spiral, which is not the case for stable, where I think it's backed by 140% collateralization, and the algo blockchain is so quick that even if the value of these tokens started dropping instantly, the liquidations would happen. There wouldn't be that same death spiral built in by design, especially because with the Luna scenario, there was a minting and burning design built in. So
Yep.
even if for some reason one of our stable coins failed, it still wouldn't have that same disaster effect on the broader ecosystem, at least in my opinion.
I have a question for you, JT. I don't. I know you've done a lot more research on stable and some of the stable coins like XPact and whatnot in the Algorand ecosystem. So maybe I can even learn something here. But like, what would the implications be if something like stable were to depeg with AlgoFi? Like, obviously, with thinking like I've borrowed some stable coin on AlgoFi before. So obviously, I have a balance that I have to pay back. If stable was to depeg and drop to 40 cents, does that ultimately mean that the amount of money I got to pay back drops in 50%, drops that value as well? Like, what
Well,
would that look like for AlgoFi in terms of people borrowing against stable?
this is actually kind of a built-in arbitrage mechanism. And in a sense, if you had borrowed stable and for a couple minutes or an hour or two it depegged significantly, that'd be a great time to repay the loan, because say you borrowed 1,000 stable and all of a sudden it's trading at 60 cents, you can go buy stable on the open market. You can buy 1,000 stable for $600 in that scenario and then repay that loan and make out. But on the AlgoFi app itself, I believe it still respects stable as $1 as
It
collateral. So
does. It
so
does.
that's where the arbitrage opportunity comes, because if it loses its peg a little bit, you're incentivized to basically go buy some off the market and post it as collateral on AlgoFi. Because could you imagine buying it for 80 cents and going over to AlgoFi and getting $1 worth, of collateral out of it? So that
Yeah.
that incentivizes people to buy up the stable.
Isn't that how
And
Terra died though? Kind
uh,
of.
well, yes and no, honestly. But there are arbitrage mechanisms built into everything. Like arbitrage is how every stablecoin keeps its peg. Like that's how USDC, USDT. There's arbitrage mechanisms that happen. There was much more of a death spiral by design baked into Luna that wasn't the the arbitrage that was happening was essentially creating a hyperinflationary Luna, which wouldn't happen in this scenario. There's a hard cap of 10 billion algo. The release, there's
Yeah.
whatever happened to these stablecoins wouldn't affect algo whatsoever. So there isn't that
No.
same type of
True.
arbitrage, and there's a more diverse set of collateral, and it's over collateralized as opposed to at many points under collateralized as UST was.
Mm.
Yeah, it's just an interesting thing that I feel like people should pay attention to, because I don't think we've seen the last of stablecoin calamities, I guess you could say, for the rest of the year. I think we could still see some other things, some other crazy things happening, especially if regulation comes and some things just maybe don't meet this regulation for whatever stablecoins could have to face. So I just know I just think it's interesting. People need to make sure they're aware of, if X happens, how can you take advantage of it and profit in a good way? Because if just know this, other people are, even though there may be FOMO to do something else, there's obviously, usually a smart thing to do in those situations.
Yep, and let's be 100% clear too. There is of course risk with stablecoins in general, and we've said this on a previous episode, but the safest way to hold a dollar is the actual dollar, and then the second safest way is one-to-one backed stable coins like USDC, and some would say Tether, although I would not. And then from there, you have your over collateralized decentralized stable coins like Stable. And then you have your evenly collateralized or under collateralized algorithmic stable coins like UST and so forth that are at pretty much the bottom of the barrel. So I wouldn't do anything outside of over collateralized stable coins on a fast blockchain that can handle the liquidations.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, did we talk about Guard? Did you mention how is Guard set up?
Guard is essentially the same way. So, I mean, it wouldn't. I feel like the same applies to Guard. The only difference is right now, I believe Guard is just solely backed by Algo, which the more diverse set of collateral you have, in my opinion, the better off you are. So in that sense, I would argue that Stable is a little safer than Guard, but just the fact that it's over collateralized in and of itself, and you need the Guard to, if you wanted to go participate in the liquidations and you wanted to be a liquidator, you would need to buy up Guard to liquidate someone. So there are incentives there built into the mechanics. So I
Well,
wouldn't be I wouldn't be too concerned, but I personally do not use Guard enough, and I do, like I said, it's the collateral isn't diverse enough since it's just Algorand.
Yeah, well, you know what I do like about Stable is that connection with Lofty and Y Combinator, the same investor, and I do really like how you can, if you got stuck in Stable, you can still use it
Well,
somewhere
that's
else.
that's actually one of the best things about AlgoFi so far, and I hope that they use their tentacles to reach into more businesses, because the more demand you have for a currency, the more stable and the better the longevity of this token will be. If the only demand is in this closed circuit DeFi circle, then you do have a little bit more of a risk. But if there's more real world commerce use for your dollar or for their backed stablecoin, then it creates a much safer and secure foundation.
What we need to do is get these guys to connect with Opolis so we can use Stable to buy SNFTs. That's already will be a smooth and easy transition, right?
Wouldn't
Oh,
that
this is
just cause
true.
more reason for not for no utility in the Opulus token?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
that would kill the.
Joker's bringing up a great point too, that AlgoFi is soon to be unleashing flash loans, which actually will help in some of what we just discussed, and allowing people to basically take out very quick loans to help participate in some of these liquidations, which would be pretty interesting.
Oh, that's gonna get dangerous.
Yeah,
Yeah,
more things
yeah,
to make the market go.
yeah. More volatility.
Well, I disagree, because the liquidations are going to happen regardless, and I think this just opens up more opportunity for people that don't just have a bunch of money to be buying out these accounts and being the liquidators, to actually participate as well. You know what I mean?
Well, did we ever talk about so like AlgoFi's
Oh, it has been
rev?
live for a while. Okay,
No,
I'll have to look
AlgoFi's
into that. Now,
what?
Joker was just saying that the flash loans have been live, but I have not known that. Go ahead.
Oh, I was talking about AlgoFi's revenue model. So I do know, like every time you use a smart contract on there for the first time, they charge like 0.6 6.2 algo. What are other ways that they're making money for themselves? Do we know?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I'm sure there's probably fee structures built in that I'm not fully aware of.
Okay.
To
Well,
be
something.
honest, though, they could very well be waiting just to launch their token and tokenize their product that way.
Hmm.
One of the questions asking about Yieldly Algo DeFi. It looks like it's been manipulated the past days. The chart looks ugly. I don't know. Are you talking about on like Coinbase, like with because it was like showing like up like 500%, then down, then back up, then down, or
Hmm.
are you talking about somewhere else?
Yeah, I heard that like it did look weird on Coinbase, but that wouldn't be the first time that something like that has happened on Coinbase where the price just like went out of control.
Any of y'all using Yieldly anymore?
I am
Not at the
not.
moment.
No.
Yeah, ever since the XET pool ended, I am not on it anymore.
Have we heard anything more about XCT having their own staking, or have they mentioned anything about anything since that ended?
Oh, you know what? I know what he's talking about. I just looked on CoinMarketCap and look at that. This is so strange.
Uh, that's how the Cosmic Champs chart looked too.
It's just it looks like you could set some crazy orders between point 0.011 and then 0.002 and just like trade that back and forth all day, which is kind of wild. And it started, let's see, it looks to have started on the 17th, so 2 days ago.
It might
This
just be a messed up chart. Like click Cosmic Champs on there.
Yeah, but this is CoinMarketCap, so this is aggregating like everything. This
Hmm.
isn't tiny charts. You know what I mean? This is from Uniswap, Mexi, Tiny Man, and I think that's it. Yeah, ZipMex as well.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. Everything
Interesting.
wonky and weird things are happening with Yieldly. That's why I haven't been using it for a while. But obviously
Oh,
they're still doing things, so maybe they'll come out on the other end,
I
just
want to
like
say
my video
congrats
depicted
to
flying.
congrats to Joker over there. Who won the first Alchemon battle.
Hey,
Congrats. Yeah, if y'all haven't seen it, check out my demo. I teach you how to play the game, how to download it, and how to earn some coins on there if you win.
oh
It's on the
nice, yeah, yeah.
YouTube.
Isn't that kind of like a sort of like a Pokemon style
It's a hundred
a game?
percent Pokemon, but called Alchemon. Alchemon. Yes, it's Pokemon. Definitely, it's a fork.
It's a
It's a
fork of
it's a
Pokemon.
fork of Pokemon. But
What's the
It's. But I would say, like someone else brought up, what are we looking for in terms of NFTs? I always bring up Alchemon because off the top, it's cheap to get in. It's not like over your head like Algorand. It's not gonna make you broke. And then so it's an easy get in. You can buy 3 NFTs for 15 algos. That might be like $7. But then otherwise, there's an actual game that you can play on, and
yeah,
that right there, you can have some
makes it
excitement.
fun.
Yeah, and it's fun. And then eventually, they're going to start doing person to person battling. So, like how Zone was trying to have us allow us to play chess, we're going to be able to battle each other on Alchemon. That put more value behind Alchemon. The
Yeah,
NFTs, they got a lot of developments, and again, the team is good. They
yeah.
stay down building their product. They don't pivot. So that's why I'm always talking about Alchemon, and
Yeah,
hopefully,
I think one of the ones that's coming up that might be good as well is going to be that Fractal Monsters. The guys who were
yep,
behind Flemish Giants
yep,
are the ones creating it. I'm in their Discord and kind of following along a little bit. So that's another one that'll be a fun, like you could hopefully buy in with relatively cheap,
should be
uh, you
cheap.
know, uh, algo, and then you can kind of grow and evolve and make more. And then obviously, if you sold your evolved thing on the secondary market, you'd be able to make some profit there.
Yeah, yeah. So, yep. And then hopefully, Cosmic Champs isn't too expensive. It looks like it's going to be an expensive
I
game.
feel like it will be. I don't know why.
Yeah,
It just seems
yeah.
like it's almost like some of the other ones that I've seen. I mean, I'm not comparing it to Annie Rand, but it
Mm.
kind of is that and I don't get why these certain NFT projects want to start their mint or their price out so high just because maybe the art's there. It's like these things take network effects to build up. I feel like to being worth that much. I mean, kind of like Algoana, but even now it's like Algoana is so expensive. Like and I don't think it does. I'm not saying it shouldn't be,
Yeah,
that
I don't know. Yeah.
it's just like, anybody who's getting into Algorand now, unless you already have a ton of money, like you're not going to get into these projects. So, it's quite hard, I feel like.
Y'all know anything about the puffins, popping puffins? I keep hearing about it. They moved from Terra.
Yeah, they moved from
Says
Terra. They're
Josh.
NFT project, and the Algorand Foundation's been kind of spotlighting them, as well as some of the others in the NFT Algorand community, just to kind of help them, bring their community from Terra over to Algorand.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea to be targeting Terra projects that are looking to relocate, to be honest.
Hmm.
I
Do we
think
want Anchor on Algorand?
no, I'm more talking about, there was a big community besides just the app that took it all down in reality.
That was a joke. We clearly don't want Anchor. Clearly.
And then, okay, so right here we've got Stacy saying on Twitter that the Algo Foundation has had a bunch of reach out from cool Terra NFT projects and communities, so they're now busy creating a tool that helps make it easy and seamless for Terra Luna projects to migrate, bridge, mint their NFTs on Algorand. And I think this is a great idea as well it's yet to be seen what the tool will look like. I don't
Yeah,
know.
because
I don't know enough about the Terra blockchain to really know
So
what's needed to create a seamless transition for
I do
projects, but
I do know if they did some type of IBC connection, because that's what the Cosmos SDK, you could easily do it because they bridge with each other. But that tool is needed because I'm trying to get some guys from Solana to hop over to Algorand. But the question always comes down: how do we take the NFTs that are already minted, if people choose to do so, bridge them to Algorand without actually ruining the NFTs that are still on that other blockchain? So that is a huge question. Stacy, tap in with us. We need to figure it out.
So, here's one question I have. Like, I've read a little bit of like what Do Kwon and some of the Terra leaders have even been posting on social medias and stuff like that. But it obviously they're almost seeming like they're wanting to do what happened to like Ethereum with Ethereum
Oh,
Classic
yeah,
versus the new
100%.
thing. So it's like, is Terra Luna fully done, or is this thing going to make a resurrection somehow?
I think they're gonna try. They're gonna try to make a resurrection, but I can't see it being successful. I really, I don't know. I don't see it being
no,
successful.
no. Like, but David, you brought this point up, I don't know, a few months back, right? Let's say 2 years from now, we didn't know what happened. Will I buy Terra? If
Oh
there's,
yeah. I mean,
we
if
don't
you're
know
new
the difference
money, if
between
you're new into
Classic,
it,
yeah,
yeah.
and we don't know the difference between the new version of Terra. Terra Classic is so-called will be the old one.
Hmm.
So like that's always a possibility because they do have the brand name in this moon token.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's the same thing with me. Like when I first came in, and even now, like I haven't done as much research as I probably should do to understand why Ethereum forked in the first place. And then obviously now it's moving to ETH 2.0. I mean, think of 5 years from now, if people were buying in, Ethereum's still around, if it's still one of the larger ones out there, they're probably not even going to care about ETH Classic or whatever's going on back there. So that's very true. That's where I feel like I'm not saying go and buying any of those things. Like I have no idea what could happen, but you do have to think about when new money comes into the market, right? Because we're not going to see a bull market really until new money starts pouring in, till new retail investors and new institutions, whatever it is, starts buying Bitcoin, buying
yep.
altcoins, and the like. So, like when that happens, because there's still so many people I talk to who are creating, not just a degen and DeFi, but like actually creating projects on networks like Near and Ethereum. One of the guys that lives here is a part of something called Lily Finance. It's building on Ethereum, and he had no idea of what Algorand even was. So like if there's people like that, imagine when new money comes in, they're not going to know what is from this from that, and heck, they're probably going to be buying Shiba Inu and Dogecoin anyway. So like if you're going to buy those, why wouldn't you buy another form of Luna or Terra, especially if, and this is sadly the part that makes these things so bad, yet what makes them work, with a leader like Do Kwon, someone who can get out there on social media and who can rally people and really make you believe in him, even if he has ulterior motives behind the scenes.
I
Bro,
think,
with Do Kwon, this is his second
yeah,
failed project.
yeah,
People again do not do research, but go ahead, JT.
yeah. I just think it's two totally different things between what happened to Luna and what happened to Ethereum. And I will say your last point, David, I do agree, and I do actually think that's part of the reason why it's overall a good thing that Coinbase added the 5.75% staking rewards for Algo, because new money really doesn't know, and they're going to be looking for reasons to invest in things, and that roughly 6% yield from Coinbase will be something that attracts new eyeballs. But going back to the previous point, the Ethereum and Ethereum Classic hard fork basically happened because of a huge hack that essentially, especially if they plan to transition to proof of stake at the time too, would have left the network more prone to a 51% attack because of how much Ethereum was stolen. So the decision essentially was to hard fork the network to basically have one network where that hack didn't exist. Where in this scenario, and at the time you have to take into consideration the network effects that Ethereum had being one of the only movers in the space. So it was able to kind of rebuild or start again or hit the restart button essentially and have the ability to do so because where else were people going to go at the time?
Yeah.
With the Luna scenario, this isn't happening because some hacker. It's happening because of a failed Ponzi project, and it's the second one of this kind. It could be more. We're just learning about his previous projects, basis cash or whatever. So I do think it's fundamentally different, one on the trust level and two on the network effects and the ability for people to move elsewhere and migrate. So I really don't think they'll be able to rebuild. They're going to try, and the change will exist, but I think the market will determine pretty quickly that they're not going to be that valuable.
Yeah.
Yes, like check this out. Like institutional money have to do the research. Basically, we never heard of a big institution like, "Hey, we're about to go rock with Ethereum Classic." Like we never heard that. So I'm like very doubtful that they're like we're gonna go work with Luna Classic.
Hey,
That's big.
some of these big guys aren't as smart as you think. I mean, what was it? Mark Cuban that got beat by that Titan stablecoin, and he lost a bunch of his money there. I mean, you've got Novogratz
Oh,
who
wow.
lost a lot of money on Terra Luna, even getting the Luna tattoo and stuff.
Yeah,
So
he did do that though. I can't believe he did that. That was
yeah,
real.
I
So I
mean,
thought it was fake.
people have
Okay.
a misconception of these people in like positions of power that they're like they have to be so much smarter than they are. I mean, we'd like to think so, but really,
Well,
they're
I'm
just
thinking their team possibly. Like I'm like I don't know. Well, somebody need to come hire us to be on their team then, because I'm like y'all don't do no research then. What is wrong
there's
with
plenty
y'all?
of people in the community that are just as smart as some of the people that they think are
I was
much
about to
smarter
say,
than
but
them.
most of the time it's like fundamentals and like all the research in the world doesn't outweigh hype, Ponzi, you know,
Yeah.
manipulation. Like look at the top 25 right now. Like there's so many crypto coins up there that there's no way fundamentally you can see this lasting forever. It is only built on new money pouring
Yeah.
in, which it's literally the definition pretty much of a Ponzi scheme. So it's like when that new money stops coming in, they're going to die. And that's what I think, if you can see something like it happened to Luna, people who are in Shiba Inu and Doge and all these things, like what happens if Musk stops, pumping it?
Promoting it. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you lose your big backers. You really think that it's going to hold up? Or, I mean, I don't really know who pumps Shiba Inu, but, I just think that, one day, like, Silvio said, one day, that type of speculation might die down some, but something else will fill its place. It'll be another crazy coin that we're all talking about how could it do this and Algorand's this.
Yeah. You see that
Yeah,
it said when are we gonna talk about David's inevitable partnership with Marvel?
Horrible. Yeah. I don't know. All right. Here's the Algo fam. I need a partnership of some kind, right? Yeah. Get it out there. Go share that video, get your boy paid
Yeah.
in Algo somehow.
Yeah. Marvel. Shout out to
Algorand
Marvel.
Foundation, Stacy Warden, Autumn.
I I, I will say, at least going back to the recent discussion on meme coins, I do think Dogecoin will hold up, and I also, just primarily because it's been around for so long at this point that for some reason I think it's just going to be like the funny staple of the crypto economy. Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to like moon. It could just remain stagnant or whatever, but I don't necessarily think it's going to go away. But to Silvio's point on speculation, I still don't know if I fully agree. Like, I do think I can foresee a time where the space has less speculation because it is basically pure speculation at this point. So I could see the space evolving into more of or at least having pockets of value investing, as people would call in the traditional finance world. But even in traditional finance, in the stock market, you've got penny stocks, you've got meme stocks. Even in the most mature markets, the stock market's been around for a couple hundred years now. Like, you still see manias of speculation. So
Yeah. And I don't mean that there's going to be a time where you don't have speculation. Speculation is what makes, trading in the stock market and in the crypto markets fun, especially for new people when the hype happens. I mean, like right now, if you look at the stock market, you're not seeing a penny stock trade with the market cap of an Amazon, right?
No.
Like that's the stuff I'm talking about. Like if Algorand is the tech and it is the, the blockchain that everything finalizes on, it will have a market cap higher and it will be ranked at the top where it deserves. And you're not going to have these dumb coins like that shouldn't have that market cap trading that high. You may be able to find the speculative investments that go from, 10 million to 100 million in market cap. But these crazy valuations where Doge and Shiba Inu have $40 billion valuations, like out of thin air, it's a fake coin with no innate value of itself other than just memes. Like that's what I'm talking about. But I don't know. You can obviously we've already gone for an hour, so you can if you don't have to converse with me there if you don't want to. But that's what.
No, we're good. We're good. C-Will's hitting up the chat saying he'll be right back, but if you want,
we're about to close out, we
could just wrap up. It's been about an hour anyway, so we might as well wrap up the show. Everyone tuning in, appreciate everyone that watched to the end. Make sure you like, subscribe to all 3 channels: my channel, JT Invests in You, C-Will's Passive Income Network, and David's Crypto for Change. And we'll catch you all in the next episode, guys.
See y'all. Have a great week. Peace.
Yep.